Hello students, welcome to 3D video game design. After our last tutorial, we had a really good tutorial on how animations work. However, it was kind of a vague tutorial and I wanted to give you something that was a little bit more specific to what we were doing. So I am just going to create a new project and I'm going to show you how I did this from the start. So here's animation demo number 2. Number 1 was when I tested it out on my own. So we're gonna load up okay, here we go. Next thing that I want to do is go ahead and import my assets. So I've got my Kenny character assets right here. All right, now our resources are in. Let's go ahead and get started. Very first thing that I want to do is make a floor to move on. So I'm going to create a new 3D object. It is going to be a plane. I'm going to rename it ground. And it is going to have a box collider and it is going to have a rigid body. Now, on the rigid body, it will not be using gravity, and let's go ahead and constrain it because the ground should not be moving. I'm going to scale it up just so I have some more room to work. It's not what I meant scale it up. There we go. Now, next thing, I want to import my character, so I'm going to go to the Kenny characters. I'm going to go into the models, and we can do one of these characters. I think I like the small guy. So drop this little alien guy in right here and let's just see how he looks on screen. He's not on screen. Where's the camera? Nope, sorry, we should move him. Okay, so now the camera, now the camera sees him. Let's move him a little bit more central. There we go, that's good. Okay, now my character that's in here, instead of character small, we're gonna call him what he is. He is a hero, and he is going to have a rigid body. And he is going to have a box collider. Okay, so let's go ahead and edit the collider to make it a little bit more realistic. We're gonna move it so that touches his head here, touches his feet here. A little bit out like that and a little bit out like that. Now, I'm not making it so it goes to his fingertips because once he's running, his arms are gonna be by his side. But that looks pretty good from here. Okay, let's see how the game looks so far. Okay, so he just kind of plops down onto the ground. That's good. Now, let's go ahead and, well, actually before we get too far into animation, let's talk about skinning this guy, because right now he looks like an alien, but let's look at skins. Let's change him to something else, like this robot. I'm going to take robot 3 and we're just gonna drop this onto him and it automatically wraps around him so he looks like a robot now. Okay, so over here is the animator, and part of our tutorial was how to add an animator. And so I am going to remove this component just so I can go through the exercise of adding the animator. So I'm going to go back over here into assets and I'm going to create a new folder for animators. and I'm going to create an animation controller. There it is, and I'm going to call that Hero Animator. Now I can go to my hero and I can just drag the Hero Animator onto him. There it is, there's the animator. Now it's asking me which avatar I would like to use for him, and I'm gonna go here and I'm going to select an avatar. Now basically this is a list of skeletons that come with this guy. So we are using the character small avatar for this one. If you were using medium, large, male or female, you would use one of these other ones. But for right now I'm using this one. I do want to apply the root motion. That's a basic animation that starts at the beginning. Okay, so in order for me to make him animate, firstly, I'm going to have to make him move. So we're going to go and do our player controller, oops, not scenes, scripts. Let's go ahead and make our player controller script, and we're just going to do a simple move forward. Okay, there's player controller. We'll drag it onto the hero. Just make sure that worked. Nope, did not. Dragging that onto the hero. There we go, there's player controller. And then let's open that up. Okay, so right here we will have a public float speed is equal to 5.0f, and then we will also have a public float vertical input, and then when we update we will say vertical input is equal to input.getAxis vertical. And then we want to transform.translate by vector 3.forward times time.delta time times speed times vertical input. And this code right here should make it so we can run back and forth. So let's go ahead and go back into Unity and see how that looks. Oh geez, what have we done? Okay, I fixed my error. What I actually did right here was I unchecked the animator because since I haven't set it up, the animation was messing it up, but you can see that now my my controls, I can move forwards and backwards just like we had done before. Okay, so now let's go ahead and go into the animator. So I can go into window, and then I want to go to animation, and I want to look at the animator. So from here I have any state and entry, and so what I want to do is we're going to start with the entry and we want to add an animation. So let's go ahead and just add his idle animation here. Here's idling. I'm just going to drag that in right there. Okay, so if I right click this and say set layer as default state, right now there's only one, so that is the default state. And so now this is the root, and so if I go back to my animation or to my game, start the game, and you see that if you look closely, my character is no longer just standing there. Let's move him a little closer to us. You can see he's kind of breathing, moving back and forth. This is his idle animation. So let's go back to the animator. And let's go ahead and add the run. Okay, now what I want to do is say that my character can go from root to run, so I'm going to make a transition that goes from root to run, but also, idle to run. But also I want my character to be able to go from running back to idling. So I'm going to identify this right here. And we can see down here there's this preview of what he's going to look like. Now, in order for me to say what he's doing here, I need to tell him when to run. So parameters, in the tutorial it said it was down in the lower corner, but parameters is actually up here now. And I'm going to add a parameter. And I can choose what type it is. I want it to be a float in this case. And I'm just going to call this one speed. So right now, my speed is going to be based on my vertical axis movement. So if I click on this transition, I can say condition. I want you to start running when speed is greater than 0. Okay, now if I go back here, if I'm going from running to idling, I want you to idle when your speed is less than 0. I'm sorry, not less than 0, less than 1. Okay, so now let's go back and play the game. And I'm doing this, and you'll notice my character still has his idle animation and is not changing when I move like this. So I'm gonna go into my script, and I have to access the animator from the script. So I'm going to go over here and say that I have a private animator. Private. And then I'm going to name it anim, just short for animator. And then at the start of it, I'm going to say anim equals get component. We're going to get the animator. Like that. Now what we need to be able to do is get into the animator and access the speed variable that's inside the animator. So what we can do is say that we have a private integer, and I'm going to call this speed hash. So I want to get to the speed variable, and I'm going to figure out what the hash code is. And hash code is a way of quickly accessing some information. The speed hash is equal to the animator dot string to hash, and then in our animator it was called speed with a capital S. I'm just going to go back here and just double check that that's what it was. Yes, speed with a capital S. We want to set the speed variable from our animator to whatever the current speed is. So anim dot set float, and we're using float because it is a float right now. Which float do I want to set? I want to set the speed hash float, and I want to set it to, let's just say, the vertical input right now. Okay, so now what this line right here on line 26 is going to do is it's going to tell the animator if I'm moving or not. So let's go ahead and go back to the game and let's see. Okay, I'm standing still, so I'm idling. And then if I push forward, there he goes, he's running. Now if I push backwards, now he's not moving here because right now the input is -1, which is less than 0. So I would have to add something in there to make it work better that way. But if I push forward, now here's something that I've learned, that if I push forward, you'll see there is a little bit of a delay, so you'll see him start sliding forward before he moves. And sometimes it looks good, and then sometimes it doesn't. And so what happens is the idle animation right now can't be interrupted. So I can fix that if I go to the animator again. So right here, I'm on root and idle. Actually, I want to go here. When we're on the root and idle, this right here says it has exit time. So that's asking, do you want to make it so I can finish the animation first and then transition, or should I just stop the animation immediately? I would like it to stop the animation immediately and then just stop or start the next one. So I'm going to turn this exit time off, and then we'll see that this is going to be a lot more responsive now. See, there we go. Nice little running animation. So now I would use that in order to also make a jumping and an attacking animation, or whatever other animations you want to make.